Good evening and welcome to the October 27th special legislative session. Tonight, the meeting is going to be broken up into two components. We have a special legislative meeting that normally we hold on the first and the third Wednesdays of each month, but in order to adopt the 2022 budget, we needed to hold a special legislative session. So I'm going to officially call the meeting to order. I'm going to ask everyone to please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll ask our clerk, please, our Deputy Town Clerk, Sue Scheidt, to please call the roll.
Draw.
Here.
Cole.
Here.
LaFountain.
Present.
Moore.
Here.
Ockenden.
Here. All right. We will first start off. There are no communications and announcements tonight. We do have two opportunities for public participation to address the board on any matter. I'll ask our clerk, has anybody, there's an opportunity at this point and again at the end of this short agenda to address the board. And I'll ask our clerk, has anyone signed up to speak to the board on any matter?
Not for this meeting.
Not for this meeting. Got it. All right. Thank you very much. Again, there will be a second opportunity. You can do that one of three ways. If you're here in the auditorium, you can also call in at 340-8771, or you can log on at penfield.org and send in an email. At this point, I'll ask the board, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing none. We do not have any minutes to approve since our last meeting. I'll ask, has the board, the town clerk, or the town attorney received any petitions?
Have not.
All right. Board, no petitions? All right, very good. Then I'm going to ask, we'll start with resolution by function, and we'll start with law and finance, please, Sue.
Adoption of final budgets for fiscal year 2022.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town board of the town of Penfield, having on the 20th day of October 2021 commenced at 7 p.m., duly held a public hearing on the preliminary budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022. Whereas all requirements of Article 102 and 109 of the New York State Town Law for preparation and adoption of general highway and library budgets have been met. Whereas in addition to the above legal requirements, a presentation of the 2022 tentative budget was made at the town board meeting on September 22nd, and whereas all persons desiring to be heard on the matter of the budget of the town of Penfield for fiscal year 2022 having been fully heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the final budgets for general highway and library funds in special districts be and the same are hereby adopted as annual budgets for fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022, and that such annual budgets as so adopted be entered into the minutes of the proceedings of the town board, and the annual budgets be made available for public inspection at the town clerk's office during normal business hours, as well as the finance office at the town hall, and at the public library at 1985 Baird Road. Be it the further resolved that the clerk of the town of Penfield prepare and certify, as provided by law, duplicate copies of said budget together with assessment rolls for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask the board, any discussions on this resolution?
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, if I could real quick, I just want to kind of talk a little bit about the budget itself. I just want to thank you for putting together the budget in a timely manner and in a transparent way. As I said in the resolution before, back on September 22nd, we had the budget presentation to the public. On October 20th, we had the public hearing, and then obviously we're here today for the vote. The budget's been on the town website, both the preliminary budget, which is a much more detailed budget, and then the tentative budget, which is the budget presentation to town residents, has been on the town website for over a month now. As far as I'm concerned, I've spoken with many of the department heads in the town about what the needs are pertaining to servicing residents and what residents desire in the town. You, Tony, have certainly been available as supervisor if anybody has any questions on the budget. And I think that's something that I want to thank you for, certainly in your years of service, but also in providing a good budget for Penfield residents that we're going to talk about today. One of the things that really struck at me, and it does every year, is when we look at budgets and your property taxes comprise of 3 different taxing entities. That's the school district, that's the county of Monroe, and the town of Penfield, at least for Penfield residents. And so the budget, I think, had a very nice pie chart that I'll just show, and it's right in the budget, and I think it does a really good job of explaining who's responsible for what. You have the school district that's responsible for 69% of your property taxes. You have the county, which is responsible for 24%, and then you have the town, which is responsible for 7%. So theoretically, if you look at a total property tax bill of, let's just say, I'm going to say $10,000, you're looking at $6,900 responsible by the school district, $2,400 responsible by the county of Monroe, and then this board up here is responsible for $700 of your total property tax bill. And I just think that's important for people to understand who's responsible for what when it comes to property taxes here in Penfield. One of the other elements that I thought was interesting in this year, and it actually was last year, is that the state comptroller, the New York State Comptroller, comes out with a fiscally stressed community list every single year. And this year they provided the town of Penfield with this chart, which I thought was pretty interesting. I know it's kind of tough to see, but on this state comptroller fiscally stressed chart, you want to be the lowest number possible. A high number on this chart is not good. And it scales down. It goes from significant risk to moderate risk to susceptible risk to no significance. Today, the state comptroller came out, I mean, not today, but in this year, the state comptroller came out and said that Penfield's risk was 0.0. All towns, the risk was 4.3. Finger Lake towns were 4.3, and large upstate towns was 4.2. And so our risk could not get any less at 0.0. And I believe we are one of the only towns in Monroe County that had a score of 0.0, and that's a good thing. When I look at tax rates, too, and look at the property tax rates in Penfield, you have to take a look at how we compare to the other 19 towns in Monroe County. And so I wanted to take a minute and take a look at those 19 towns and where their tax rates were in 2021, and then obviously moving forward into 2022. And of the 19 towns, Penfield is the 6th lowest tax rate. You have Riga, which has the lowest tax rate. They have no tax rate because they have the mill seat landfill. Henrietta has the 2nd lowest, and obviously we know Henrietta has a lot of commercial industrial development that helps with the tax dollars and funding town operations. The town of Perrington, which was number 3, has the High Acres landfill, an active landfill in their town, which commits certain amount of dollars, I believe it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, to the town budget every single year. And then you have Mendon and Parma at number 4 and number 5, and we all know Mendon and Parma are pretty rural with not a lot of infrastructure needs, so their tax rates are low. And then there's the town of Penfield at number 6 at $2.78 moving forward into 2022. If you look at the entire town list, and I believe this is available online too, you can see where many of the towns are up in the $6 range. You have one town, the highest town is $6.42. That's a 79% difference than what the town of Penfield is at $2.78. In fact, there's 5 towns that are double the town tax rate as the town of Penfield. The county of Monroe's tax rate is $8.53. The city of Rochester is in the $17 range. Penfield schools are in the $27 range, and Webster schools are in the $25 range. And so I just think that's something worth noting, that here in Penfield, your town tax rate is the 6th lowest at $2.78. When I also think about the town budget and the services that the town budget provides, I think there's elements in there that don't really get recognized or don't really stand out to people, but yet we enjoy them every day, and we enjoy them in different seasons of the year. And I think it's worth noting, Mr. Supervisor, a couple of them. Certainly our library. There's over 200,000 visitors a year to the Penfield Library. That's funded through this budget. Our 10 parks, we have over 300 acres of parks, and then over 200 acres of shadow pines, which is the newest area for people to enjoy, recreation area for people to enjoy in Penfield. Includes our playground maintenance program. Our rec center, our rec programs have over 1,000 rec programs for youth, seniors, adults every single year. And certainly our court system, which is a big part of town operations. Town historians funded. Youth services are funded. The Historic Preservation Board is funded. Our 4th of July fireworks and parade, special events such as the food truck rodeo, chili cook-off, Taste in the Blues, the Halloween fun night that we just had recently. Again, adult senior education programs, we call it daytime education at recreation, or the DEER programs. And then our commitment to the environment and sustainability and conservation with the town's conservation board and the committee that you founded or you created, Mr. Supervisor, the Energy and Environment Committee, one of the few towns in Monroe County that has that. And certainly the commitment to transparency and providing information to the public through Penfield Cable Access and Penfield Community Television, and broadcasting events like the Town Board, Zoning Board, Planning Board, Conservation Board, Transportation Board, Historic Preservation Board, so that the public can see what those citizen-led boards are doing and some of the decisions and recommendations that they're making. Memorial Day ceremonies included, the 9/11 ceremony was included, certainly our roads, repairs, culvert, sewer system. We've got our Public Works Director, Eric Tate, here, and the great job that he and his staff do every single day. Certainly Penfield Community Television, as I mentioned before, Dave Renner and his staff in providing these type of opportunities so people can view these meetings not only on the town website, but also on television, and then additional secondary sources such as Apple TV and Roku and so forth. Our commitment to the sidewalk policy, plowing over 287 lane miles of roads. We've got over 359 miles of sewer maintenance. Our street lighting, the amphitheater concert series. Our commitment with the solar arrays, the electronic charging stations, and so forth. And it goes on and on and on. And I think that's just areas of the budget that, doesn't get talked a lot about, but residents enjoy those activities every single day. And I think that it's worth noting when we look at the 2022 budget, what is funded in that 2022 budget. And so when I look at the 2022 budget as a whole, I do believe that it's good news for Penfield residents. It demonstrates a commitment to fiscal responsibility by reducing the tax levy by over $500,000, which is less than it was in 2021, keeps the tax rate flat, no increase at $2.78. And the 2022 tax rate is lower than it was in the year 2003, 19 years ago. So I think that's something that you deserve a lot of credit for, Mr. Supervisor. The 2022 budget is under the New York State mandated property tax cap. It also maintains our AA1 credit rating by Moody's, an independent investor in bond ratings. It's one of the best scores that Moody's gives municipalities such as Penfield. And it also includes a 15% reduction in worker compensation costs, which is a credit to your leadership and a credit to the staff for the work that they do. And as I showed before, the New York State Comptroller's Office gave us a fiscal score of 0.0, which is the best score that you can get on that. So I want to thank you for putting this budget together, your commitment to transparency with the budget process with Penfield residents. And then certainly, Tony, this is your 12th budget that you've presented. You know, again, in 2003, the town tax rate was $2.95. Here, 19 years later, in 2022, the tax rate is $2.78. Tax rate is lower than it was 19 years ago. And so with that, I will be voting yes on this budget. Appreciate your efforts over the last 12 years presenting really good budgets, Mr. Supervisor, and I'm happy to support and endorse this budget moving forward that does not raise the property tax rate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Other questions, comments, board?
Just everything that Andy said, how could you not support this budget? This is an excellent budget for all the reasons that he gave in his comments. And I want to thank Barbara Trudeau for putting the budget together with our town supervisor, Tony LaFountain. You've done an awesome job making it sensible. Everybody understands it when you do the presentation. It's excellent. Shows all the what we do for so many things that are done for a budget that it hasn't needed to be raised, or we've found ways to keep it at a flat tax rate. So I thank you. I thank all of the town employees for working to put this budget together, and certainly the town supervisor for his last budget. It continues to be another excellent budget this year. So thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Other comments, board?
Ditto.
All right, great. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Marie Cinti. Marie Cinti will be the next Penfield Town Supervisor. She'll take over this role January 1st of 2022. Marie was a true partner with Barbara and myself as we put this together, working with the department heads. And so this budget is our budget that we present to our community for 2022. And Marie, thank you for being there from start to finish on that process. I think you've got a great budget to start off your term as supervisor of Penfield. Seeing no additional comments, I will ask for a roll call vote of approval of the 2022 budget.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes.
All right. Is there any old business to come before the board this evening? Is there any new business to come before the board this evening? Okay, again, seeing none. This is the second opportunity for public participation to address the board on any matter. Once we adjourn, we're going to be going into a work session, and the work session is discussion between the board and staff and any invited guests. So if you have an item that you wish to discuss with the board, now's the time to do that, or forever hold your peace until our next legislative session. Okay, not seeing anyone either signed up. Yes, please, if you'd come forward and just take one of these seats here at this front table and give us your name, please.
Hi, good evening to all. My name is Tina Green. And I have a concern, one of your missions for the health and safety of individuals within your community of Penfield, New York. So, I am a resident here. I used to go to school here. I have friends, used to live here. And so, it's like I'm back home. And I have been experiencing quite some harassing, I call it harassing. So anyway, where I reside on 250 in the new places, and it's a beautiful place. However, I think there's concerns about health and safety there. There's incidents that occur. You hear people walking over top of you. I mean, you can't get no higher than the floor I'm on. The surface on the top, the roofing, is flat. So you hear people walking over you. Not only that, the space underneath me, it's like I feel like I'm being burnt. And I have went and I have talked to somebody about it and showed them the markings of it. And it doesn't stop. I've also talked to a police officer about it. So that's a genuine concern, because if I'm vocal enough to come and represent myself and others that probably don't use their voice, and they're elderly, some people are elderly, maybe they don't understand what's going on, but after a while, when you can't sleep, because the moment you lay down, you start to feel that, whatever it is, but it leaves marks on your body physically, could be damaging. Who knows the extent of it for a lengthy time?
Excuse me, just a moment if I could. Folks, in the interest and the respect for everyone, thank you very much. We're going to have one conversation and one conversation only. I apologize. Please go ahead.
Yeah. And so I can't lay down, but for a short period of time, and then it happens again. And it continues to happen. I'm like, I pay to stay where I stay. I feel like I should be able to come home, lay my head down, and get some rest and get some peace. When there is deprivation of sleep, I mean, that causes problems, health problems. And I don't think that I should be going through that. I do pay to live where I live. And so I have a genuine concern about that. There's things where our doors have been found to be open, and the police have been notified of it. And there's other issues. There's other individuals that could speak to it. But on this night, because it was so sudden, I had forgot about it. Years ago, I came to the meetings before. I was going to run for office in that. However, I had moved away, and life goes on. But I'm back, and I don't expect for the continuation of all this to happen. So, prior to moving here, where I used to live, I was experiencing the same thing, and I contacted the mayor to let them know of it. So I figured, all right, change locations, perhaps that will settle it. However, that's not it. But when I brought it to, I spoke of it on Facebook. And after I spoke of it on Facebook, I was confronted on a side drive-by by a Caucasian lady driving a SUV. I guess she didn't like that I brought light to it. And when I spoke about it, I said, there's elderly people that are afraid to use their voice because they know that most of the time people come back at you. But I'm not worried about that because the Lord says he's more than the whole world against me. I believe God. So as we were simultaneously, she was going straight and I was going across turning to my right. She speaks out of her window. Out of her window, looking me dead in my eyes, and I'm looking at her, and she says, we're going to kill your sons. Nothing before that. It wasn't until I spoke that over Facebook about the incident. So that's what I'm telling you.
Okay. All right.
So I thank you all for listening and hearing me.
Absolutely. Do we have your name and phone number?
I have it here.
If you would leave that with myself or the clerk, what I would like to do is I'd like to reach out to you and maybe have our community services sheriff representative come and for us to have a sit-down discussion and talk out this a little bit more detail. And so if I could get name and phone number and the best time to reach out to you, we'll get something on the calendar with the sheriff and myself.
Yes, I also left it with your clerk, but however, since I'm here physically, I have the information here.
That would be great.
I'm more than glad to leave it with you.
Terrific.
Thank you.
And then I'll look to give you a call over the next couple of days.
Certainly.
I'll find out the sheriff's schedule, and we'll see what we can get on the calendar.
Okay, so do you want me to leave it right here?
If you just, you can bring it right up to me,
You want me
and
to? Okay,
that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And then I'll reach out over the next couple of days.
Certainly.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in. All right, you too. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board on any matter? Okay, not seeing any. Then I will declare this special legislative session closed at 7:26 p.m. Thank you for those that came to address or at least listen in on the budget. And we're going to take just a short break, a couple of minutes, to give our folks downstairs who record all of these meetings, give them a chance to switch from legislative session to work session, and we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. So again, special thank you to Barbara Churtle for being here. When we got Barbara, we got 2 for 1. We got her husband, Sebastian. So with that, you folks are ready to head to your next event. All right. This meeting will stand adjourned.